broken down and tired of living life on the merry-go-round, and you can't find a fighter, but I see it in you, so we gon' walk it out and move mountains. We gon' walk it out and move mountains. And I'll rise up, I'll rise like the day, I'll rise up, I'll rise unafraid, I'll rise up, and I'll do it 1,000 times again. And I'll rise up, high like the waves, I'll rise up, in spite of the ache, I'll rise up, and I'll do it 1,000 times again. For you, when the silence isn't quiet and it feels like it's getting hard to breathe, and I know you feel like dying, but I promise we'll take the world to its feet and move mountains, bring it to its feet and move mountains. And I'll rise up, I'll rise like the day, I'll rise up, I'll rise unafraid, I'll rise up, and I'll do it 1,000 times again. For you, all we need is hope, and for that we have each other, and for that we have each other. Yeah, we will rise, we will rise, we will rise. Whoa, we'll rise. And I'll rise up, rise like the day, I'll rise up, in spite of the ache. Yeah, I will rise 1,000 times again. And we'll rise up, high like the waves, we'll rise up, in spite of the ache, we'll rise up, and we'll do it 1,000 times again. For you, for you, we'll rise.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Sarah Brady. I want to welcome you to this special announcement here at Pulse Nightclub. I want to say a personal thank you to Central Florida Community Arts for the Legacy Group. Can we give another round of applause? I'm only up here for a minute just to explain how this will work today. As you can see, it's a very small space, so we have some logistics requirements. We have a lot of news media in the back. We know that you're interested in talking to some of the individuals here. What we're going to do is we're going to kick off this program with a video, and then Barbara Poma is going to speak, and then we have two other speakers. When they're done, and when the program is over, we'll bring the three of them back to you over back there, so you all don't have to leave your stations and try to scurry around. It's just going to be too complicated. So we ask that you respect our logistics and have a little patience with us as we try to navigate through. So without further ado, I'd like to start the program.
Pulse was a place of love, respect. It was a place where you could just dance with your friends, laugh the night away. My first time that I went to Pulse, I was 18 years old. It was my first nightclub experience. I was scared, and I remember I walked through that door, and the energy of the building, the lighting, the atmosphere, the drag performances. By the time I left, I knew that that was my family. It didn't matter who you were, who you wanted to be. It didn't matter if you were gay, straight, bi, lesbian, transgender. It didn't matter. You weren't never ashamed of walking through that door. You felt proud to bring your family there, your friends there. You were proud to meet people there, and that was just the difference. It was never a place that you had to hide to go to. Over the years, all of those friends that I made when I was 18, they are still, and we're still attending Pulse. They are still attending our events to this day that we are holding. We all grew up together. We've laughed, we've cried, we've shared our stories, our heartbreaks with each other over the years, and this is just, unfortunately, another hurdle that we are getting through together. From my 18-year-old heart to my now 31-year-old heart, that is where I found my home. That's where I found my voice. And I know so many people in this community did. Unfortunately, this is what Pulse is now.
I started the One Pulse Foundation shortly after the tragedy of June 12th, 2016 at Pulse nightclub for two reasons. One is I really wanted to make sure that the site would always remain memorialized forever for everyone who lost their lives there, for their families, and for our entire Orlando community. I also wanted to help the families through the process of healing.
When Barbara started the One Pulse Foundation, she wanted to put together a group of people with global perspective to come in and create what really will become a living, breathing, iconic urban planning project in the memory of the 49 people that were taken, the 68 survivors, the first responders, and the brilliant medical people that saved so many lives.
I could never have walked away from this. I really feel passionate about being honored to do this for these families and for our community. So it wasn't an option for me.
The fund will be used to support the construction, the endowment, the maintenance, and the scholarships that will be all part of the memorial. And this is a community-driven initiative that we'll need a lot of help with. As you know, we're all still mourning this tragedy. And I can tell you, we will not let hate win.
I know once it's unveiled and we have it here, that it'll find a place of comfort. But I know in 100 years, it should be a place of education and a place of change and remembrance. And so I hope we aren't giving people labels and calling them by their sexuality. And I just hope that that becomes erased. And I hope that children grow up in a much kinder, more loving atmosphere. I just really wanted to create change.
Pulse nightclub in Orlando was not just a place where people could be free to be themselves, but a place to find community and safety. To know that the essence of Pulse was shattered by the deadliest mass shooting in our country's history remains just as unimaginable today as it was that night, June 12th, 2016. This memorial is intended to preserve the heart of Pulse, a place where everyone was welcome and loved. This memorial will be designed as a place to grieve, to honor lives lost and saved, as well as serve as a place to heal and learn. I hope you'll join me in supporting the One Pulse Foundation and help build a permanent memorial so that we never forget what happened to those precious lives that were lost. We won't let hate win.
Good morning and welcome. This is an important day for all of us. We have come so far in these 11 months. Finally, I can say that I'm finding hope and inspiration by being back here at Pulse. And the reason is because today I'm able to share with you what I believe is news that will help in our mission of healing. Like all of you, it isn't easy for me to stand on this site. What began as a place for fun and joy is now sacred ground. For nearly 13 years, Pulse served as a place of love and acceptance for the LGBT community, and it should have been the last place for such a tragedy. I invited each of you here today because Pulse has become part of you, and you, a part of Pulse. What was once our little corner at Kaylee and Orange is now shared with the world. Together, we are all a part of Pulse's future, right here on this property. Before we begin, I'd like to first recognize a few people who are here today. In particular, I'd like to thank Orlando Mayor Buddy Dyer, Mayor Teresa Jacobs, and Commissioner Patty Sheehan, who have shown extraordinary strength and leadership. I am eternally grateful to Orlando Police Chief John Mina, Orange County Sheriff Jerry Demings, Orlando Fire Chief Roderick Williams, and Orange County Fire Chief Otto Drozd. Their officers and all the first responders from throughout the region who rushed here that night, risking their lives to save others. We are profoundly grateful to the medical teams from Orlando Health and Florida Hospital who saved so many lives. My thanks to Pam Schwartz, the head curator, and the team at the Orange County History Center who have been protecting this sacred ground and all the bits and pieces of love that have continued to be left here. I'd especially like to thank the families and survivors who've made the remarkable emotional decision to come here today and share in what I believe to be the beginning of our healing initiative. Most especially, I'd like to say thank you to my husband, Rosario, and my family, and my Pulse family, who've all stood beside me during the darkest time of my life and have worked so hard to keep Pulse alive. Every one of you has demonstrated some form of courage and compassion in one way or another. As you can imagine, my family and I were devastated by this tragic act of hate, which hurt so many here and around the world. When it happened, I was heartbroken. There were no words that could adequately express my level of grief and the grief that we all shared. Most of you already know that I established Pulse in honor of my brother John, who passed away from HIV/AIDS complications in 1991. Pulse had always been a wonderful place to celebrate his life, the lives of his friends, and his community, and it served as his legacy. I now know that my role is to ensure that Pulse become a place of healing. It is a time for Pulse to contribute to the community in a permanent way, a healing way. Therefore, today, it is with great privilege to announce the establishment and activation of the One Pulse Foundation, whose purpose will be to honor the 49 lives that were taken, the 68 who were injured, all of our affected survivors, the countless first responders and healthcare professionals who treated them. This community-driven effort is intended to ultimately support the construction and maintenance of a permanent memorial, community grants to care for the survivors and victims' families, endowed scholarships for each of the 49 angels, and eventually a museum showcasing historic artifacts and stories from the event. All of our donations will be used for the construction and operation of the official memorial and museum, community grants, and education scholarships. This is more than just building a structure. This is an urban planning project that will connect all the pertinent points of downtown affiliated with Pulse. And the ultimate design and function will be decided by this community, not by me, not by government, but by this community as a whole. Pulse was a part of this community in so many ways, and the only way to truly preserve its legacy is by community. This must and will be a healing initiative, one that I believe will inspire supporters who share our vision and understand the sacred responsibility to which we have been entrusted. This memorial process is led by a task force whose participants have committed to the journey, which will be long and emotional, and it has already begun. Our advisory council includes Myra Alvier, mother of Amanda Alvier, Pam Schwartz, our head curator of the Orange County History Center, Jeffrey Manuel, memorial artist consultant, and Sarah Brady, the owner of Sarah Brady Public Relations. It is also comprised of our community leaders, families of our victims, and survivors. Some of them are here with us today. I ask you to please stand. Task Force, thank you. Thank you for accepting this responsibility for your community and for your world. Before I introduce the chairman of the board, I want to ask all of you to take a minute to take the focus off the lights, off the cameras, to put your focus where it belongs, where it was on the morning of June 12th. Focus on your heart, the way you responded that day. Remember who your thoughts were with, those mothers, fathers, sisters, brothers, aunts, and uncles whose lives were forever broken. While we can use this process to mend hearts and create change, we must never forget the true focus of the project. We will not let hate win. We will ensure that no one of this generation and the generations to come will ever forget what happened here. And now, I would like to introduce the chairman of the One Pulse Foundation Board of Trustees, Earl Crittenden. He'll explain the rest of the process to you. Thank you.
Thank you, Barbara, and good morning, everyone. As a third-generation Orlandoan, as well as someone who was actually born in Orlando Health, which played such a critical role in the Pulse nightclub tragedy, words can simply not express my appreciation to be involved in this important healing project. When Barbara explained her vision about establishing a national memorial, it never occurred to me to say no. Barbara's conviction, integrity, and concern for the victims' families and survivors is ingrained in the recollection of meeting her and really getting to know her heart. Last year, on that horrible morning of June 12, people around the world witnessed in real time what pure hatred looks like. As I was making notes this morning, I realized that this year happens to be the 50th anniversary of the 1967 Summer of Love event in San Francisco. 5 decades ago, people were contemplating the same questions and the same recurring themes. Where's the love? Where is the humanity? How do we fix the hatred in society? Well, sadly, hatred wasn't fixed, as we all know. It's still here, and it got worse. Hate is a learned behavior. That means the burden to make change falls on us, right here and right now. I've heard Barbara say repeatedly, we are weak when we are divided. We are weak when we are divided. We all have to be strong together. It really is true that teaching others with kindness and acceptance could help eradicate the kind of hate that took 49 souls that led us to gather here today. Mayor Dyer, Mayor Jacobs, you both stood so strong and led our region with strength and with kindness, with the world watching in shock and in mourning as the events of June 12 unfolded. The leadership demonstrated by our city and county commissioners and law enforcement has been extraordinary. Orlando is the most visited city in the United States. The 66 million people who came here before June 12 knew Orlando for fun, sun, citrus, great attractions, and great restaurants, MLS soccer, and a dazzling new performing arts center downtown. After the tragedy, the world saw the real Orlando, real people with big hearts in loving, inclusive, and a diverse community. Our inclusiveness is not a result of the Pulse tragedy, but a reflection of what our culture was before June 12. Without question, we are changed. Hearts remain broken. The path to healing is a long one. But today, we're here to help Pulse move past the tragedy towards a new phase of healing with an initiative to create an iconic, meaningful national memorial to the victims, the survivors, first responders, and medical professionals. And here's how the process will move forward. The solemn journey begins with collecting the thoughts and desires of the victims' families and survivors. This process will also include the reflections and wishes of the first responders and Orlando Health medical teams who saved so many lives. We will also capture the community's thoughts and input, which are absolute critical importance. Once the data is collected through a survey process supported by the American Institute of Architects, the Foundation's task force and board of trustees will begin the discovery process about what the actual memorial, its campus and museum will look like and how it will reflect the Foundation's mission. The task will not be easy, we know that. Again, we are in the very beginning of this special project, so there are very many questions we cannot yet answer. But we do know we need your help from each and every one of you. There is room for everyone at this table, and we invite you in. Now, it is my absolute honor to introduce our National Board of Trustees for the One Pulse Foundation, global leaders who have big hearts and great vision who stepped up to honor those taken. Please stand when I call your name. Only 4 trustees could not be here with us today. And please hold any applause until the end. Lance Bass, entertainer from Los Angeles. Ali Benitez, Benitez Law Firm from Orlando. Vicki Berman, shareholder, Dean Mead Law Firm, Orlando. Kathy Brown Butler, Senior Vice President, Bank of America, Orlando. Mark Cosgrove, partner, Capital Strategies, Orlando. Jason Collins, retired NBA player and NBA Global Ambassador from Miami. Jason Feltz, CEO, Virgin Produced from Los Angeles. Sharon Hagel, founder and president, Space Kids Global from Orlando. Dale Hipsch, Senior Vice President, Hard Rock Cafe, Hard Rock International, Orlando. George A. Kalogridis, President, Walt Disney World, and Vice Board Chair, Orlando. Kelly Lafferman, Principal, Feinstein Winmore, and Board Secretary from Orlando. Richard Lapchick, Chair and Director, DeVos Sports Business Management Program, Orlando. Dr. Hillary Lewis, Chief Curator and Creative Director, The Glass House in Connecticut from New York. Yolanda Londaño, Senior Vice President of Global Social Responsibility, Tupperware Brands, Orlando. Ambassador Robert Mandel, United States Ambassador to Luxembourg, retired from Orlando. Patrick M. O'Donnell, Principal, Deloitte Risk and Financial Advisory and Board Treasurer from New York. Yatin Patel, co-founder and CEO of Reservations.com from Orlando. Andrew J. Snyder, Senior Vice President, Marketing and Communications for Orlando Health from Orlando. I'd like to express my personal thanks to all of you for stepping up to this effort and all that you've already done. I'd also like to share at this press conference, as it began minutes ago, our website went live. Just look for us at onepulsefoundation.org, all letters, no numbers. onepulsefoundation.org. We're the official 50c3 for this memorial, and all net proceeds will go to fund the memorial. If you go to our site, you'll see a donate button. Please use it and encourage others to participate. We are all in this together, and we will not let hate win. Now it is my pleasure to introduce one of Barbara's first and integral supporters, Jason Feltz. As I said, he's CEO of Virgin Produced, and he came from Los Angeles to be here with us today. Jason immediately began guiding Barbara in development and is responsible for some of our early momentum, as well as having Hollywood's most influential leaders to become involved in this initiative. Please welcome Jason Feltz.
Thank you. Like everyone else, I was shocked when I turned on the television the morning of June 12th, 2016. I was aware of Pulse nightclub, and I'd had many close friends who found it to be a safe place, a place for them to be their authentic self. One of those friends, Conrad Pratt, phoned me in the middle of the night, hysterical, crying into the phone. He said, "You've got to do something. We need to use whatever influence we have to help. We can't be spectators to this tragedy. I agreed. But like so many others, I just felt devastated watching all of this unfold. So I contacted Barbara, whom I'd never met before. A cold call to a warm heart. I was welcomed with open arms by her and by your community. Last August, we held a fundraiser in Hollywood, which immediately drew substantial support from the entertainment industry. I'd like to take this opportunity to highlight the following for their support last August and for their continued support of the One Pulse Foundation. Sir Richard Branson, Lance Bass, Bruce Cohen, Coldplay, Laverne Cox, Mark Cuban, Rosario Dawson, Ellen DeGeneres, Melissa Etheridge, Jesse Tyler Ferguson, Lady Gaga, Caitlyn Jenner, Jessie J, Nick Jonas, Ariel Kebbel, Cyndi Lauper, Demi Lovato, LP, Ryan Murphy, Sarah Paulson, Robbie Rogers, will.i.am, and Stevie Wonder. Now today, I stand here on sacred ground with all of you. The support and influence of Hollywood is great, but it's simply not enough. We are all part of Pulse's future. Your influence and support matters equally, if not more so. It is imperative that we all do our part to prevent an act of hate like this from happening ever again. This project is not about replacing a building or a fun hangout for the gay community. This memorial project is about healing. It's about healing Central Florida, the LGBTQ community, the Latino community, and all those victims' families who continue to grieve. This is a day of hope. This project will need the help and support from so many, and that's why I wanted to be here today to show mine, and to show that of Richard Branson and the Virgin brand. On behalf of us, and a personal note to Barbara, as an entrepreneur, we understand the risk, sacrifice, and the work that is needed to launch an effort such as this. I am confident that you and our Board of Trustees will be able to transform not just this sacred site, but how we think and celebrate and accept our differences. I'm honored to serve on One Pulse's Board of Trustees, and thank you for your time today. And now Barbara will close out our program.
Thank you, Earl and Jason. We would not have been able to launch this foundation without you, or this task force, or this Board of Trustees. I remain awestruck by the love and support we have received from these respected leaders who have come to see this effort move forward. I realize that this is a long-term undertaking. Long before we reached this point where we are today, I visited Oklahoma City and New York City and met with the individuals who built the iconic memorials in their respective communities. I have spent countless hours researching, studying, and meeting others who have walked this road before me. I'm well aware of the days ahead that will include conflict, emotion, and a variety of unknowns that will accompany this massive undertaking. Nothing worth doing is easy. I know we will make mistakes, and we will face challenges we can't foresee. I believe this very resilient task force and this powerful Board of Trustees are strong and greatly fortify our mission and our ability to be successful. It will not be easy, but it will get done. The words of Martin Luther King have given me the fortitude and strength to accept this most important task, and I repeat it to myself very often. Darkness cannot drive out darkness. Only light can do that. Hate cannot drive out hate. Only love can do that. I invite each of you to stay involved. Visit our website at onepulsefoundation.org, where you can donate and watch our progress. I'd like to conclude this program by welcoming you to what will always be the home of Pulse Nightclub and all that it means to this community. Remember, we will not let hate win. We will heal together, and Pulse will always continue to be the heartbeat of Orlando. Thank you all for coming today.